You get the All-Star Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
This wonky, weird Shaq drafted a team, then Chuck, and it was too much TNT. I got too much Kevin Hart.
The NBA All-Star Game was supposed to bring fans back. Instead, it may have pushed them away for good. A confusing new format, a lack of intensity, way too many ads, and somehow, MrBeast's contest became the most exciting part of the night. Seriously, what just happened? The NBA promised a fresh and competitive All-Star weekend, but what we got was an awkward, boring, and over-commercialized mess. Fans expected a thrilling showcase of the league's best talent, but instead, they got something that felt like a corporate event with occasional basketball in between. The hype leading up to the weekend suggested the NBA was making major improvements, but the final product left many wondering if the league truly understands what fans want anymore. The disappointment was evident across social media, where reactions ranged from confusion to outright frustration. For years, the NBA All-Star Game was one of the biggest events in basketball. It's when casual fans tune in. It's where legendary moments are made. It's supposed to be fun, competitive, and full of highlight plays. But in recent years, the All-Star Game turned into a glorified layup line, with zero defense and players barely trying. Fans complained about the lack of effort, and it became more of a joke than a real competition. Nobody wanted to see superstars jogging up and down the court, casually throwing alley-oops with no resistance. The intensity that once defined the game had completely disappeared. Players treated the event more like an exhibition than a showcase of skill and competition, and fans noticed. The complaints grew louder each year, with many calling for the league to make serious changes to restore the excitement that once made the event must-watch television. So in 2025, Adam Silver and the NBA had one goal: fix All-Star Weekend. They introduced a brand new format, but instead of fixing the problem, they somehow made it worse. The new idea was to break away from the traditional East versus West matchup and create a more exciting structure that would make players care again. The problem? They overcomplicated it and sucked the energy right out of the event. Rather than simplifying things and bringing back the elements that made past All-Star Games great, they introduced an experiment that left fans scratching their heads. Instead of 2 teams, the league introduced 4 separate teams in a mini-tournament format. 3 teams were made up of all-stars, and 1 team was made up of rising stars. Instead of quarters, each round ended when a team hit 40 points. The idea? Make games shorter and force players to compete. The problem? It made everything even more confusing. Instead of a traditional game with a natural flow, we got choppy, disjointed matchups that ended just as they were starting to get interesting. The tournament structure meant that many players barely saw any time on the court before their team was eliminated. It was hard for fans to get invested in any one game because the format felt so foreign to what they were used to. Right away, this format felt off. First, games ended way too quickly. Some first-time All-Stars barely got to play before their team was eliminated. Imagine waiting your whole career to be named an All-Star, only to step on the court for a few minutes and then be done for the night. Second, the new rules killed any sense of drama. There was no build-up, no tension, no epic final quarter where the best players took over. Even Kevin Durant called it weird before the game even started. And guess what? He was right. The excitement that comes from a game building up to a thrilling climax was completely lost. Instead of an All-Star game that gradually escalated into must-watch basketball, we got something that felt rushed and anticlimactic. To be fair, players actually tried harder this year, but the problem? It didn't make the game more exciting. Why? Because the format sucked. You can play as hard as you want, but if the game itself is awkward and rushed, nobody cares. The NBA tried to fix the effort problem, but in doing so, they destroyed the flow of the game. The lack of a traditional structure made it impossible for fans to get emotionally invested. Basketball is a game of momentum, of big runs, of thrilling comebacks. This format stripped away all of that. Without any continuity or flow, the games felt like random pickup games rather than a meaningful all-star competition. Fans didn't know what to expect, and instead of being intrigued by the changes, they were left frustrated by how unnatural the format felt. But here's the biggest problem of all. Out of a 3-hour broadcast, only 42 minutes were actual basketball. 80 minutes of ads. 80 minutes. There were so many commercials. The game itself felt like an afterthought. Every stoppage was filled with yet another promo, sponsorship, or awkwardly forced segment. It got to the point where fans were questioning if they were even watching a game, or just sitting through a giant advertisement disguised as basketball. The NBA's increasing reliance on corporate sponsorships has been noticeable for years, but this took it to a new level. The balance between entertainment and commercialization tipped so far in the wrong direction that it felt like fans were simply being used as consumers rather than appreciated as an audience. At one point, MrBeast's halftime challenge got more engagement than the actual game. A random fan hitting a half-court shot for $500,000 was literally the most exciting part of the night. When a YouTuber's contest outshines the NBA's biggest stars, you know there's a problem. Social media blew up with reactions, not to a jaw-dropping dunk or a clutch three-pointer, but to a fan sinking a single shot. The NBA's own product had been overshadowed by an internet personality. This highlighted the major issue. Fans crave moments of genuine excitement and unpredictability. The NBA's over-engineered format failed to deliver that, while a simple half-court shot managed to capture the attention of millions. The NBA couldn't decide what it wanted All-Star Weekend to be. They added new rules to make it more competitive, but then then they also brought in Kevin Hart to roast players during timeouts. So wait, is this a serious competition or a comedy show? Even the players look confused. The NBA's mixed messaging made the game feel like a joke. One moment, they were hyping up the intensity of the new format. The next, they were cutting to a skit featuring celebrities pretending to play basketball. Fans were left wondering what the true purpose of the event was. Was it a showcase of elite talent, or just another entertainment spectacle with basketball as an afterthought? The NBA is playing a dangerous game. Casual fans are already losing interest in the regular season. Now they're tuning into All-Star Weekend and seeing this mess. If the league doesn't fix this ASAP, All-Star Weekend might become completely irrelevant. The All-Star game used to be must-watch television. Now, it's becoming background noise, something fans watch out of habit rather than genuine excitement. If the NBA isn't careful, it might reach a point where even hardcore fans stop caring. The All-Star game should be a celebration of the sport, but right now, it's starting to feel like an obligation rather than an event worth anticipating. So what's next for the NBA? Do they scrap the format, try something new, go back to East versus West, or just accept that All-Star Weekend is no longer must-watch basketball? Fans are demanding change, and if the NBA ignores them, they risk turning one of their biggest annual events into a complete afterthought. Viewership numbers don't lie. Engagement doesn't lie. The league needs to listen before it's too late. And if you made it this far, drop a "Fix the All-Star Game" in the chat. NBA, we're begging you do better.